is going on, folks? It is Steiner here with a very special episode of Secondhand Talent. First of all, thank you to Tenacious Toys for sponsoring us, and thank you to Luke Chu for the Lo-Fi, our featured toy of the season. But enough of that. We have with us, literally right next to me, a very special guest, theater professional and host of Behind Beautiful Things podcast, Kevin Crispin.
That's
Kevin,
the one, yeah.
Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks, brother. Thanks, Steiner. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, but we're here to talk about you.
All right, bring it on.
So my first question, and I'm really excited to hear your answer to this one. We were connected in a very, for me anyway, a non-traditional way.
Okay.
As far as like the way most of my guests have been on the show. Let me move this mouse off here. We'll keep that in, but whatever. Yeah. We were connected in kind of a non-traditional way. And I guess you must have been approached with the name of my podcast. I'm genuinely curious when you were told, hey, we found this podcast that you might be a good fit for. It's called Secondhand Talent.
Uh-huh.
What was the first associate? What did you think of?
So that's a good question. When it was presented to me, it was not just like, here's the name of the podcast. Do you want to be on it? It was like, it's called Secondhand Talent. Here's what they focus on, blah, 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 and then they describe what you focus on, like people behind the scenes and things of that nature. And I thought to myself, man, that sounds like an amazing show. And because all of these things that go on, we have all these pieces of art that we love, whether it be concerts, theater, film, whatever. You've got so many more people behind the scenes than in front that are making it happen. And what is life? I mean, I think we all learned during COVID, like when there weren't live events, it takes the air out of life. You know what I mean?
No, it really does. Yeah. But you're kind of getting away from it. When you heard Secondhand Talent, what does that phrase mean to you? Just outside of the
I see. What does it mean to me? Well, the first thing I just thought was Secondhand News by Fleetwood Mac.
Love that association. Yeah. That's amazing.
Love that fucking song.
One of my favorites.
I think it's both an endorsement of the people behind the scenes, and then also I think it kind of plays on the way that people look at the normal people look at people behind the scenes, like, oh, they're secondhand. They're back there.
Yeah, and I mean, you really kind of hit the nail on the head right there. It's the idea that, the folks who are doing that work to make that end product for so many people to enjoy, the talent is no less than whoever's on stage or under the spotlight, as we like to say. The talent is equal. They're just often overlooked.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And that makes sense. And it's like the shadow behind them, right? Behind every good man is a better woman, or whatever it is.
Ever some such. I mean, our saying is, we like to shine the spotlight on the people who shine the spotlights. Yeah. We take that literally and figuratively because, as you alluded to, for every photographer, light director, theater professional, teacher, stage manager, bouncer that we interview, there are hundreds or thousands more working in those same capacities across the country and the world. And, we hope with the show to highlight not just the folks who we have on as guests, but all of the people who work in those fields.
Right. Yeah. And as somebody, I've done many a show where I've worked the follow spot for sure, which is... One of them was one of the worst shows I've ever seen. And of course, you have to watch the show every night. It wasn't that the production was bad. It was that the show itself was bad. And it's called Sister Amnesia's Country Western Nonsense Jamboree.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. I don't want you to repeat that.
No,
it's
I don't think I can.
For anybody who's watching this may have heard of, there's like 7 of these things. There's nonsense musicals, and they're singing nuns, basically. And they're nothing against nuns. It's all against the musical because it's fucking awful. They're terrible. So I ran follow spot on Sister Amnesia's Country Western Nonsense Jamboree. And this was almost 23 years ago, Steiner. Still in my head, man.
That's and isn't it crazy how it's the worst ones that
I know.
Yes.
And again, I want to make clear, everybody in the show was great. My stage manager is still a friend of mine to this day. It's just the show itself, the script sucked.
I think that's a really important point, though. Like, it doesn't matter whether or not I don't need to be a fan of the band to appreciate the work that goes into the show.
Absolutely.
It may not be my taste in music. It may not be my taste in, theatrical production or film, but I can certainly still appreciate, the parallels and the amount of work that goes into it. That's the same as a band that I do like. The work involved is still the same.
And it's almost if you maybe go with somebody to a show, you don't know the band, and then you're kind of not digging the music for whatever reason. It's like, okay, now I'm going to pay attention to how they did it. How are they doing this? How are they doing the lights? What have they rigged? What do they got? How are they bringing in the set pieces if it's a theatrical thing? And so that gives you something else to focus on, which again is part of the whole product.
And recurring theme, whenever I talk to people who produce festivals, stage management insofar as placement to avoid sound bleed is one of the most important things that matters so much to a festival, especially if you have electric and acoustic acts playing at the same time.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have good sound bleed separation, there is no way anybody, maybe even up to the stage, is going to hear, the acoustic band playing over whatever thrash is coming over from the other stage.
Slayer's over there.
And then the Dave Grisman project is over there, and it's like no one's hearing Dave. Actually, it happened at a festival I was at, and the acoustic band had just started jamming to what the other band was playing.
Yeah, they mixed it together.
Like, what else could they do? No one could hear.
When I saw Paul McCartney at Lollapalooza on the other main stage, which was fucking far away, was The Weeknd.
Oh wow!
And Paul made a comment about mixing them together, some joke about it, and you could barely hear it, but you could hear it, right? So it's obviously better than I'm hearing what The Weeknd is singing and all this stuff. But he made mention of it, and that's
the artists notice it for sure, but I mean it's so essential to the fan experience, and when it comes to festivals, particularly festivals in urban areas,
right?
A lot of one thing that I've seen a lot happen with first-time festivals, including one that I worked on a couple of years ago in an urban setting, is that they don't account for the acoustics of how it'll sound behind the stage. If you have a whole, so in this case, the stage was in front of a river, and they didn't factor in what it would sound like on the other side of the river behind the stage.
And what did it sound like?
Trash. Okay. And I was DJing, and they asked me if I could add some speakers to face in the opposite direction. And I told them those speakers are bigger than me. I don't exactly know what you want me to do here. Had you told us you wanted sound wired all around, we would have. So did
they not even test the sound before right? So
shoddy craftsmanship on that one. But you know what? It was still a lot of fun.
Yeah. And festivals are great because when they're set apart, what draws people to these festivals is I want to see that band, that band, that band, that band, that band, that band. And if they're not at the same time, you're like, okay, I saw them. I'm going to walk over to this stage. I'm going to see them. When I first saw Slayer, it was at an Ozfest.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And scared the fucking shit out of me because I was in high school and I was not ready for it. I was watching them, and Tom, Carey, and Jeff, I believe is his name, were the three playing guitars, right? 2 guitars and bass. And they were all their hair was swirling, and somebody was singing, but I couldn't figure out who. And then they were showing very graphic pictures on the screen. I was like, I'm gonna go back over here. And then I went back over and saw Fear Factory, if you know them.
Yeah, two great experiences.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely can be overwhelming for sure. But though this has been a great discussion, let's circle it a little bit back.
All right.
To be a little bit more about you. So, how long have you been involved in theater? What was the origin for that? I have dabbled myself a little bit. In college, I ran sound for a play, wrote a play. I know a little bit about it, but it was never really a passion of mine. I'd love to hear like what made you want to get involved in theater.
Well, I like to be looked at. And when I was like 3, I think it was about 3, I would do impressions for my family. Right. And then when I was 4, I was in a church play. And in the video of the play, which is, I'm sure, long since gone, but in the video of the play, there's a part where all the kids stand up, except for one kid who was sitting there fucking with his shoelaces, trying to figure out how to tie his shoes. And that was me. And for like a couple of years after that, like, it would be played at our house, and I would feel I was like mortified. Like, why didn't I stand up? Why didn't I stand up? And then when I was in first grade, I was in a play called Dr. Squash, the Doll Doctor. Who was
I don't even like that. Sounds like it could be like a first grade play and like a college like exercise in Strange, but all right.
And let me tell you, buddy, it could be both.
Yeah.
And my sister, it was like for some sort of not theater camp, but a theater program that my mom put us both in. So my sister's 3.5 years older, but 4 grades above me, and she played Dr. Squash, and I played the clown who was sick. Poor me, for I have the measles, and not only that, I have the
memory. Do you have didactic memory like that?
I've got a good. I have a good memory. Wow. I guess. Well, and
well, the tunes. I think that's
the tune.
Okay, so now it's starting to make a little bit of sense how you got into theater.
Yeah.
If you're starting at that age, and if that music is still with you, I mean, obviously, those are your early formative years.
Yeah.
And if you're hearing music that you enjoy, is that the element of it that brought you to theater?
No, I don't think it was. I mean, I've done a lot of musicals throughout my life, but to me, it was the spectacle of it, as cheesy as that sounds. I mean, this was in a fucking cafeteria, on a stage in a little cafeteria in the middle of nowhere, Central Illinois. But like, I loved that we were behind the curtain before it started, and we were all back there, and there was like this nerve feeling, and then the curtains opened, and then we did the show, and then the curtains closed. It felt like we were part of something. I had learned also about theater. I saw a production that the high schoolers did of Charlotte's Web, and I thought it was the coolest fucking thing in the world. And then probably 14, 15 years later, I was in a production of Charlotte's Web where I played Wilbur, which I thought was really cool.
That's fantastic. I love that Charlotte's Web was that kind of vision moment for you. That was also a big part of my childhood.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We're, I am very much into live music, but I do have a brother who's an actor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And, my grandmother and my late grandfather, miss you, Papa, she has always loved the theater, and from a very early age, she made sure that was a part of our lives, which, it otherwise would not have been. But she made sure that we went to places like the Goodman Theater and
very nice.
To all of the, nostalgic, wonderful theaters that are here in Chicago, and to go see wonderful shows. And it really, what hit home for me, Charlotte's Web, for us, it was the movie. The
cartoon?
The cartoon was formative. But for theater productions, for my bar mitzvah, as a gift, my mom took my brother and I to go see Spamalot.
Really?
And it was in Chicago. It was on the second. My grandma had seen it on Broadway, but with the whole cast.
Right.
Of course, she and my papa saw the official version, but my mom took my brother and I to I think it was at the auditorium.
Yeah,
and we're a Monty Python, Saturday Night Live house. We grew up with it,
absolutely the same.
And to see that come to life in front of me was something that it's a feeling that I would not experience again until I saw Weird Al perform live for the first time.
You know, I've never seen Weird Al, and I want to see him so bad.
The ultimate fusion of theater and music, in my opinion.
He's coming to Riot Fest this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did he do the thing where he does the costume change every time?
He does every costume. He has more costume changes than Lady Gaga. Like back in the day when I used to go see him at Summerfest in Milwaukee, like, you know, for Fat, he would, you know, go and, you know, the whole blow up suit, and then the whole band would switch into scrubs for like a surgeon. And it was, I mean, just an incredible business suits for Dog Eat Dog. Like just an incredible performance.
I will say that when I was I've not seen him live, but Dare to Be Stupid was a very important tape to me as a kid.
So I think this shows our age gap. For me, it was Running with Scissors. Well,
that was great for me in high school. Yeah. I love Running with Scissors, and it has one of my favorite original, if not my favorite original Weird Al song, Albuquerque.
That is what he closed the show with.
Really?
And it was 20 minutes long, and
so
he restarted it halfway through. And Give Me Back My Snorkel. It's been just like a snorkel to me.
Yeah, nice. I hate sauerkraut. Yeah.
That's what the whole song's about. But enough about my formative theater experience. What was it for you? You know, after witnessing, you know, the Charlotte's Web performance and being inspired by it, what was your first performance that really felt like it was a launching moment for you?
Yeah, well, there was Dr. Squash, right? That was the first play performance that really felt like a launching moment. But then in third grade, I used to do impressions for the class. And I still remember, like, the student teacher, not the actual teacher, but the student teacher saying, Kevin wants to do another impression for the class. And I did a bunch of them, but one of them was Donald Duck washing his face, and it went like this.
We're gonna put the filter on for this one, folks. Just slide that. Yeah, that'll. You'll see why in a sec. If you're not subscribed on YouTube yet, folks, the video is worth it. Come check us out on YouTube. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. Here we go.
All right,
Donald Duck washing his face.
So that was my big closer when I was 8. You know,
it still hits.
Yeah, it's good.
It still hits.
I mean, ducks got to wash their face.
Oh my,
their bill.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember being real young. One of the first impressions I did was Mickey, and, you know, we're going over here now, huh? Yeah. We're gonna do some fun things, huh?
You're a very good mimic.
Oh, thank you, man. That's you know, enough about me.
Yeah. So I did that, and then I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit to high school.
Yeah.
And we had he was an English teacher, but he ran the theater, and we had this terrible little auditorium that had these chairs that had to be brought in. They've now since rebuilt the auditorium in my high school, so they've got like a legitimate one. And we did 2 shows a year, one in the fall, one in the spring. And I was able to be in 7 of the 8 shows when I was in high school. And Mr. White was his name. He's one of maybe my first mentor. And he was, I'll tell you, do you know what a spreader is? Like for teeth?
For teeth. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking. Yeah.
That's not theatrically.
Okay. Yeah. Not for butter. Like
no.
You were thinking of something else. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So my first show, I auditioned. I got in. It was The Crucible.
Arthur Miller, if you know him now.
Yeah, and I played Ezekiel Cheever, the clerk of the court. Between the audition,
what a role! Wow,
it was fun. It's a great show. Between the audition and the first rehearsal, I got the spreader in, and the spreader took up the whole roof of my mouth. And it's this thing where you have to open your mouth, and my mom, or usually my mom, would have to go in and turn a key, and it, it's basically over. I don't know how long I had it, 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, but it does that work. And so but because it was here, I couldn't say E very well, and so I play Ezekiel Cheever.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem. Yeah.
And we were doing the reading, and Mr. White is this very calm man, once lived in a teepee, and he goes, let's pause for a minute. Kevin, why are you talking that way? I was like, I have a spreader.
The mic again.
I have a spreader. And so I worked with Mr. White throughout, and unfortunately there weren't really a lot of backstage stuff because we did not have a facility in order to foster a technical theater department, right? So I didn't learn much about backstage theater until I went to college. And I was originally a film major, and then I auditioned for a show there, and I got cast. It's still the best show I've ever done. It's called Gross Indecency, The Three Trials of Oscar Wilde. And interestingly, in that show, it's a Brechtian show, and there were no curtains. It was all very bare bones. The set was like pipes and stuff. We would bang on the pipes, bang on them, and you could see the whole crew was part of it. And
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Very Secondhand Talent, like very on brand.
Yeah, right. And there was one point where the whole crew came out and they all had masks on. It was like kind of when Oscar Wilde had his downfall because he was stupidly convicted of gross indecency, homosexuality, and he was sentenced to prison. So great fucking show. If anybody, it's a great show. It's the same guy, Moises Kaufman, same guy who wrote the Laramie Project.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely know Laramie.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I thought I was done with theater. I don't know why I thought that, but I did. And I was like, I want to be a filmmaker. I was a big Zucker, Abrams Zucker, Airplane.
Oh, yeah. Stop calling me Shirley.
Oh, I won't. And I love Scorsese, and I want to be a movie director. Anyway, I switched my major to theater, and then I went through the rest of college in the theater department, met some people I still talk to this day. I was just texting with somebody 6 minutes ago who I met in the theater department, and
about what?
I was texting her because she was telling me her brother is really spends every October obsessively watching horror movies. And in Chicago, there's the Music Box, and they have the Music Box of Horrors, which is a 24. And then I thought of it because of the
poster from that event.
It's the same. I think the same guy who does Music Box of Horrors does the Massacre.
Yep, my Steiner is over there at that show every Halloween. Yep.
Yeah. So I was texting her about that. So
awesome.
And then I got my first professional job. Now, have you ever heard the phrase or the term rather, summer stock?
Summer stock. Let me just think for a second, because as related to theater. Can I give a guess? Can I venture a guess?
Of course.
I would say the summer stock would likely be a canon of plays that are good fodder for various summer, like in the park, free shows.
It's close. But the reason the stock summer, so it's summer theater stock is because they're in rep, and so like one closes 2 days later, another one opens, and so a long time ago they would use the same flats every year, and that was the stock set. And the stock props.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I did my first summer stock theater, and I was an acting intern. So that's when I played Wilbur, and I was in a couple of the other main stage shows. But then I also ran crew on shows, and I learned some stuff like that. Running props, run crew being like the people who wear all black and like come in and move the set and all that good stuff.
And was that out of necessity or because you wanted to just figure out how the whole
that was part of
worked?
the whole intern package. So we were involved on all sides of everything.
Okay. Now that's massive because, you have to, you can't just like take a guitar, for example, right?
Okay.
You can't just learn the chords of the song you want to play. You have to learn how to play the guitar.
Exactly. Right. And it gave a full, and the theater department I was in, we had to take technical theater classes too. That's where I learned how to do theater carpentry, which I'm average at best.
Theater carpentry. I got
building the sets.
No, yeah, no,
I
got some of my luthier friends might be interested in hearing about that.
That's
cool.
So that place where I did the internship, the acting internship, I went back the next summer to be a carpenter. And we had there was 5 of us in the scene shop. Okay. And we did 6 shows, and Saturday night, the show of closing night, a show would close at like 10:30. We would load out the show, load in the other stuff, and then we would basically work with maybe 2 hours of sleep a night over the next 2 days.
Yep, that tracks.
And then Monday night at 8 p.m. or whatever. I do remember this because Monday night at 8 p.m. the show would open, and you'd be in the crowd because you're not in it because you're a carpenter. And I would look at that thing and I'd be like, holy shit, we did that. Like, we did that. And it looked great because Tim, who was our technical director, was an amazing, amazing craftsman. And it was a whole different way to appreciate theater, because I was like, I'm doing something else for theater to the whole encompassing show.
You know, it's a really great point, because it's so easy when, to use just this as a metaphor, a cog in a machine.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy as a single part to forget the machine and to not see the forest, or, you know, to miss the forest for the single tree. Mm-hmm. Right. You are part of a larger forest that is a spectacle to behold.
Right.
And it's very, when you're so close to something and working so, you're devoted to it. It's day in, day out what you're doing. You're living and breathing it every day. Sometimes you forget that, oh yeah, right, there's an audience and they're seeing this from a whole different perspective.
Right. I'm always, because lights, you can't really see the audience, but I'm always looking at the audience. But now they're looking at a different thing about me that I had a hand in making, you know, not just a performance. And the next summer I went to Cape Cod for my 3rd year of summer stock, and I was a carpenter there too. Now, this was an Equity house. Now, Equity is the actor and stage managers union for live theater. And at that time, it was more difficult to get into Equity. Like, you had to be kind of asked, you had to get cast in certain houses. You could get what were called EMC points, so like build up points.
So just for reference, like for our acting and music friends, that's sort of like SAG affiliation.
Absolutely.
Like SAG after or something like that.
Exact same thing.
Okay, gotcha.
And for whatever reason, it's actors and stage managers are in Equity. But then backstage crew is in IATSE. The union is called IATSE, International. I'm going to fuck it up, so I'm not going to say it.
International Yahtzee.
Yeah, International Yahtzee. Man, I love Yahtzee. So I went there, and now this was, okay, so obviously I'm sure at some point you've talked with somebody on the show about the flies flying in, flying out, rigging stuff, having stuff come in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So most houses are done with what are called pigs, these 20 or 40 pound weights where you load them very high up, and then it balances the weight so that it doesn't just come crashing down on people.
Right. And you're relying on that for our listeners and readers and viewers. You're relying on that to counterbalance whatever props or other associated stagecraft items you are rigging to that weight.
That's exactly right. And now the Cape Playhouse, which is where I worked, and was often referred to as the first summer stock theater, because what happened was, maybe 1915, I could be wrong about that. Back then, theaters in New York did not have air conditioning. And so the summer would come, audience suffering enough, but think about the actors up there. Geez. So this dude, and I don't remember his name, went up, and he somehow procured these giant blocks of ice. And he had an old Quaker meeting house, and they put a theater in there, and they set these blocks of ice outside the window with these fans. And it was like their version of air conditioning.
Oh, man. Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
You know what? It's like how pressure it turns coal into diamonds. Like, like when you need to find a solution, you fucking find one. Like,
so like the biggest theatrical actors in certainly in New York would come up there every summer. And so in that place, there are all these old posters everywhere backstage. And so you're seeing all these names that you recognize, and it's just in the history of this place. But another reason I bring it up is it was called what's called a hemp house, not a pot house.
A hemp house.
A hemp house.
Hemp house.
Have you ever heard of a hemp house?
Twisted. I'm imagining a house made of hemp.
Well, the house being the theater. Hemp house they do not use weights. What they use are fucking sandbags. And
old reliable.
And you have to, now I never could figure this shit out, but people who do that, they have to tie these different type of knots, and they're like scaling the hemp rope to get that stuff up there. It's very fucked up.
Now I know exactly what you're talking about. And yeah, that is one of the weird, it's like that's like beautiful mind math that people are doing like in real time.
Yeah. Yeah. And watching that, and that was a whole another thing. Do you know the play or the movie Noises Off?
Oh, I'm not familiar.
Okay, it's fucking hilarious. And it's a play about a play. And the first act is the play they're rehearsing. So they're rehearsing on stage, and the director, the character, is in the back of the actual theater yelling at them, right? And they're rehearsing. And, so you get a sense of what the play is, okay? The second act, what happens is it's a big house set. This set turns all the way around 360 degree. No, 180. Yeah. And
some beautiful mind math there.
Yeah, that's right. 180. And now, so you had to build out the backstage, because the second act of the show is what goes on backstage during the show. And of course, all these actors are at each other's throats and they're trying to chop each other with axes. And so they're going to what was the front of the set, but now is backstage. And so you could hear, when the doors open, you could hear them doing the show, but what you're watching is what's going on behind. And then the third act spins back around, and then you watch them do the show and watch it just spectacularly fall apart. It's really funny, but we built this fucking thing.
It's a fascinating concept.
It's so good. And there's a good movie Peter Bogdanovich directed in the 90s. It's got Michael Caine, fucking hell, Christopher Reeve, John Ritter, Carol Burnett. Anyway,
oh wow,
yeah, it's great. And we had to build that thing in 2 weeks. And as I said, I'm average at best, and at best is doing a lot of work in that sentence for theater carpentry. And so there were 3 carpenters, TD, technical director, and assistant technical director. So it was the 5 of us. And then we build this giant fucking thing on casters that turns, right? And so that's 2 weeks we're building that. And then we load it in over 38, 40 hours or something. And I was like, who the fuck decided to do this at summer stock? Because remember, summer stock, it should be like, we're going to reuse the same flats
thing over
and
over. Right. Stock being the operative word there. Right.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Like, whose bright idea was this to reinvent the wheel? Yeah.
Yes. And then we went into a giant musical, which is a whole other thing. Cape Cod's my favorite place on earth. And that was the first time I'd been there. It was that summer. So I worked as a carpenter there because I couldn't act because of the union rules, and they would have cast me anyway. They got all their actors from New York. And then I went on a national tour. Oh, man. I went on a national tour of A Christmas Carol.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Now, I was, once again, a technician. And I was called, no, this is creepy. I was called what was called a bed bug.
Well, that's a lot less creepy than... Oh yeah, whatever.
Well, I fucking hate. Have you ever? I hope you've never.
Suck. Had. Yeah, no, but that's okay. All right, creepy is an interesting word.
Creepy, gross, icky. Yeah, there you go. Just, one more time. Okay. So what would happen is, obviously, I assume everybody watching this at least has a passing knowledge of A Christmas Carol, right? Scrooge, that one. Past, present, future. Well, he's in bed when this stuff is happening. So one of the main set pieces is a bed on casters with a full frame around it, so he can open the curtains and look out and close the curtains, that type of thing. Underneath the bed was me and a woman, another person. So the 2 of us under this bed. And so when we loaded the set in, it probably took us about 5 hours to load the set in and set it all up. One of the main things that Sarah was her name, Sarah and I would do is we would put a glow tape trail on the stage. And that is how we did the bed. So what we would do is...
And just for our listeners and readers and viewers, what is a
good
glow?
Thank you.
That's something we should point out. I know what that is, but I just realized that some of our readers might not. So.
Yeah, good call. So glow tape is it's tape that you can charge by literally putting a flashlight on it or just having light on it, and then when the lights go out, it glows. And what we would do is cut strips of it, maybe about, I don't know, that long, and a number of those, and then under the bed on all four corners were basically arrows, and you use the arrows and you follow the glow tape, but you can't see anything. And so the big thing is like, don't fucking drive it into the orchestra pit, because that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So we're down there, but when you watch the show, and I'm giving something away, but who cares? I don't think they do that tour anymore. When you watch the show, it looks like it spins around, it moves all over. It looks like his bed is floating because of these two people. We had knee pads on, and we're like hunched over. Oh man, I had such a good time on that tour. But we would have snowball fights with the fake snow under the bed during the show. And so we were in a 15-passenger van, we being the crew, 15-passenger van, and then a really large box truck that had. And so we're going, and the actors are on tour buses, right? And so we'd leave before them, we'd set up, they'd show up. Again, it's both sides of what's going on here. And one thing I want to say too is one of the most important things in theater is it's, when you go to like a restaurant and maybe you're sitting there having dinner with your wife, and you look over and there's somebody being rude to the waiter or someone.
It's happened.
Yeah, unfortunately. A big faux pas is actors who are rude to run crew.
Oh man, I mean, look,
I'm sure you've run into a lot of,
listen,
maybe not actors.
As a stand-up comedian at any given point in time, I know I am the least hardworking person in the room.
Uh-huh.
Like, even the audience works harder than me. I just show up and tell jokes. I didn't screw in the bulb for the spotlight. I didn't plug in the mic and set up the audio. I'm not serving the drinks. I'm just here to tell jokes.
Right.
Like, and that's kind of, again, part of the reason we wanted to create Secondhand Talent was out of this space of, we know that the artists acknowledge, or hopefully should acknowledge the crew and for what they do or wherever they're, playing at. A little bit different for theater and music, but, talking about a venue, typically, if you're a good band, if you're nice, you go up to the crew or whoever's working, the bar staff and all that, say thanks for doing a great job and keeping it going. And that is exactly the behavior that we want to encourage, with the show, because I know that I say thank you to everybody who's working in the venue for my show.
Because there's no show without them.
Exactly. But what we want to do is we want more people to say thank you to them as well.
Right. While you're doing the show. So people think about that. So maybe when they go to see a show, they're like, I wonder, some people, they're like, I wonder how they do that. And they're thinking, oh, there's people behind there. And maybe you see them like, A Christmas Story, the movie. Mm-hmm. I ran crew on a production of that at the Cleveland Playhouse. And one of my jobs was to help bring on and off the Fragile box.
Oh,
so we had that. I'd walk with another guy and put it down, walk out. Working there was great because, again, these are professional equity actors. They were always so fucking nice. I was so lucky to work with them. But yeah, so they're the people that you see between scenes, all of that stuff. But yeah, I learned way early on, you thank your stage manager and you thank your run crew. And I was in some shows last summer as an actor, and I tried to find every person on the crew after every show and thank them because they're doing work to make us look good. So, did the Christmas Carol tour. Now I'm going to get to the non-equity touring theater, which Christmas Carol was, but I did a couple of 2-person educational theater shows. Now, when I got this job, I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. It was me and it was always a guy and a girl at this company. I was like, oh, we're going to become best friends, maybe fall in love, something like that. And we went on, and what happens is I started to call it. Now, I was 22 the first time I did this, and I was not nice. Not very nice. I was very reactionary and anxious, and I know we'll mention the podcast, but I had a lot of anxiety about a lot of stuff, and because when you're on the road like that, and I was making $300 a week, and that was a lot of money to me, and the stability in your life is gone. There is no stability.
Oh, I was about to say, like, what stability? Like, exactly. There's no stability to be gone. Like if you're on the road, like, you're in the moment 100% of the time.
Yeah, I lived out of the same 2 bags for like 3 years, right? I mean, obviously I would change stuff in them, but on this tour, the way it worked was, like, for example, the second year I did it, we did like a Shakespeare show where it was a combination of Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, and another one I don't remember. And then we did Alice in Wonderland, where the girl played Alice and I played everyone else, including the Red Queen. I based Humpty Dumpty on Rush Limbaugh because fuck him. And you have these sets. They're not very complicated, right? They're certainly not like anything about what I was talking about before. They're these easy to carry flats. And your flats, all your costumes, and your personal belongings are in the back. We're in the back of a Dodge Caravan. The only 2 seats in the van were the driver's seat and the passenger seat. And we started in New Hampshire. We made our way all the way to the Bay Area. All the way back. We drove 15,000 miles in 2 months, and it was either me or her, and we had to share a hotel room. So we never, ever got away from each other. And like I said, I wasn't the most pleasant person to be around all the time. And this poor woman, Stephanie is her name, she did not drink. I did. And she would be kind enough that she would drive the van to a bar and hang out with me while I drank. The great thing about this was I called it the Great Dark Human Experiment. Touring like this, because you're in such close quarters with people. And under stressful situations where you're lost. And this is before we didn't have any GPS. We had a fucking atlas, and you're trying to find a school in fucking Denver, Colorado. And you're like, what? Here, whatever. So you get on each other's nerves, and then you go to the show, and then you drive 6 hours to your next town, and then you get your hotel room, and then you're in the hotel room together. Right.
Oh boy.
That's why I called it the Great Dark Human Experiment. But the really wonderful thing about it was, even though Stephanie and I, and let's be honest, I got on her nerves more than she got on mine, although she got on my nerves plenty. We always looked out for each other because it's just you and that other person kind of against the world.
Yeah.
And and I've never toured like with a band, but like, have you ever read Our Band Could Be Your Life?
Yes, absolutely.
I love that fucking book.
Absolutely.
And like,
it's a must read, folks.
Yeah. Dude, seriously. Minutemen, these guys are piling into these vans, driving everywhere. It's just them against the world, you know? When the Beatles were originally touring, they called it a Beatle sandwich. They'd be so cold in the van, they would lay on top of each other to try to keep warm. And so you bond in these experiences. And so, yeah, I wanted to claw my own eyes out, and Stephanie wanted to claw my eyes out with me. She wanted to help, but we also bonded and we got through it.
A mutual clawing of the eyes.
Yes, just a
mutual clawing of the eyes.
Just kept being my eyes, which is probably for the best.
Is that why you're wearing glasses?
Yes, that and the tyranny of genetics, my friend.
Gotcha. Yeah, same here.
I love that phrase. I read that in a book once.
Tyranny of genetics.
Yeah. So, and then we got done. I then went and did another summer stock, which this one, it was called summer stock, but it really wasn't. It was an outdoor drama. Have you ever been to an outdoor drama?
Yeah, I have. Fortunately, being in Chicago, we do have or when I was growing up anyway, I remember going to some plays in the park and things like that, did happen. More often in like the suburbs than in the city.
Absolutely.
But definitely did go to a few of those growing up.
I was lucky enough to be in the Johnny Appleseed outdoor drama about, Johnny Appleseed. And I once again, I played, Ebenezer Rice, I believe was his name. Anyway.
Just another Ebenezer.
Just a fucking another Ebenezer. And I played an Ebenezer.
With a tweezer.
Yeah, with a Jeezer. And this show had pyro, right? It had really, I'm not going to say really advanced stage combat, but pretty advanced stage combat. We had a fight director.
Well, if you have a fight director, I feel like that's okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say that we were like the best ever, but we had fights.
Okay, but if your show needs a fight director, I feel like you're
okay. We'll call it pretty
decent.
Yeah, pretty decent. Right. And we lit a man on fire every night.
Okay, what the fuck?
Yeah. Zell gel. Do you know what Zell gel is?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
That's so far from what I was expecting.
Oh, I know. It's like, we fought. We lit a man on fire. And so we're outdoors, and so there's no dressing rooms. And so you're in these trailers. And let me tell you something, man. The male trailer was the most horrific smelling place on the face of God's green earth. We called it the man funk. And you'd get done with the show, and everybody's been out fighting, pyro, man on fire, all sorts of stuff. And you get in there to change, and it just smelled awful. Awful. So I did that, which was a whole different type of experience in theater. And it was such a beautiful area. It was in Ohio. It was a beautiful theater. And there were woods behind the scene, the stage. And then there was a tunnel that you would go when you crossed from stage left to stage right. You'd go down into this tunnel so nobody could see you because there's no back wall or back curtain. There's just the woods. And watching, for example, the fight director, his name was Henry, watching him choreograph these fights, watching how they did the pyro, learning how they did lighting Andrew was his name on fire every night was a whole nother learning experience.
Holy shit. Wait. Oh, sometimes when I have interviews, I think I heard Andrew in my interview with Christopher Thorne from Blind Melon, we talk about the song St. Andrew's Fall. Go watch that episode if you want to hear that story, folks. It's a wild one.
They do a great John Lennon cover. Yeah, and thankfully this Andrew didn't fall because he was fucking on fire.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's insane.
And there'd be people backstage waiting. I mean, backstage meaning the sides that the audience couldn't see, and they'd spray him off. And then because of Zell gel, it brings your body temperature down. Zell gel is something that, and I'm probably going to say this wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you know, you put the gel on, and it's the gel itself that burns. Obviously, it's not the human,
right?
But it lowers something with it, pulls out the heat.
So what it does is effectively, if folks are familiar with biofreeze, it essentially adds like more like lidocaine, actually, where it puts in like a numbing agent underneath this gel so that you're not feeling it as much. But part of what happens with that is that as your body is healing, because there is still a shock mentally, your body does kind of go into a bit of a collapse. And because you're covered in that gel, your pores are not exposed, your skin is not exposed to oxygen. So your body temperature naturally is going to lower because you went immediately up, and then you're getting doused by chemicals, and your body isn't able to oxygenate itself properly in order to get back to regulation immediately.
Way better. So you're welcome. So Andrew, it was made very clear to us before we even did the stunt, is like, everybody get the fuck out of the way. You can watch from the side, but you cannot be in the way because he gets hosed off, and then they rush him to a shower.
Yeah.
So you can get it off his body because your body temperature is dropping. So we did that. And then I did some other stuff. And then I went on another 2-person tour. Fine. Same tour, actually. Same route. New Hampshire down to the Bay Area and back. And after that, I moved to Richmond, Virginia. And I worked at an educational theater, but this was a 5-person tour. And instead of a Dodge Caravan, we had a 15-passenger van. And we're all in there with the set. And we had this fucking giant for one person to carry, but cumbersome soundboard because we had sound cues.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And my buddy Mike, who was on the tour, he's a big guy, 6'4" maybe. And when Mike would get mad, he would just grab that fucking soundboard by himself and put it back in the van. It was like, okay. And people, these weird, again, you have the bond, but these weird tensions arise because often you wake up we were doing a show called The Jamestown Story, my fall semester. So it's Jamestown in Virginia. So we toured only Virginia. And almost every show we went in the morning and came back at night. We rarely were at a hotel. But we'd have to leave at like 4:30 in the morning to get to the school at like whatever, 7:30, And then you're fucking exhausted and then you're around each other all the time. And, I bring these stories up to say, like, people would say, well, what do you do? And I say, I'm an actor. And they'd say, oh, understandably. They're like, oh, my God, that's so cool. And I'd be like, no, it isn't. Because I was a little prick. And I was frustrated and, again, a very anxious person and had no stability and didn't know, I'd walk around with like $52 to my name. And I'd be like, what am I going to, I don't have health insurance. What am I going to do if something happens to me, And so you're on edge all the time. You're doing these shows, and the kids, it's like a sea of children going back and forth. So you could see them, and they're often, and you're doing these shows, and maybe 70% of the kids are paying attention. Usually, it was the teachers who were having the most fun, right?
Right.
Because they're like, okay, I don't have to worry about them too much,
right? No, as a teacher,
yes, that's right. I forgot that.
Yes,
yeah. So did that. And then in the spring, I did a national tour with the same company of I Have a Dream, the Martin Luther King Jr. story.
All right.
I was the bad guy.
I mean, considering the source material, that does make sense.
A really cool show, though, and a really awesome story to tell.
I mean, good on you, though, for like, I would imagine, see, that's one thing that I have an immense amount of respect for is the actors who take on the roles of people that are generally despised.
Oh, they're so fun. It's more fun, at least in my opinion.
It is, but I would say to the casual fan, or to the general public, it's like, who wants to play, like this? And not understanding that it's like, no, I don't espouse this person's beliefs.
Oh, of course,
what they think.
Right.
It's character, and it's the depth of the writing, and it's about actually telling the story properly. So, I've been on the road before, solo, with a band, with a couple of bands. It doesn't matter the size, but it takes wear on you. But the tours that you're describing here, coast to coast, forget the amount of people, you're what, like 10, 20, how many miles did you drive in those?
About 15,000 miles.
It's got to wear you down. Oh,
it wears you down. And again, going back to, it's just you and this one other person. And even when I transitioned to another type of educational theater tour, which was like 5 people, after that, when I worked in Richmond, I was like, that's it. I need to not do this anymore. I need to have some stability because, again, I've dealt with mental health stuff my whole life, mental health issues, anxiety. I have obsessive compulsive disorder, and it was just really playing hell on my anxiety. So basically what I did was I got off the road, moved to Chicago, and kind of stumbled into a corporate career at Groupon and some other places. And then in 2017, I wrote, produced, and performed a one-man show about my life with anxiety. And that led me to my podcast, which is called Behind Beautiful Things. And my show was like me making fun of myself and the weird shit that I've been worried about. I thought I was going to stick my head in a tornado siren and lose my hearing. I don't know. I thought I was going to die in the electric chair. Like, I obsessed over these things and so on and so forth. So I made fun of myself, but the goal was, hey, here's my weird shit. You in the audience, maybe you'll feel more comfortable. Either maybe you heard something here that helped you feel less alone, because mental health isolates us more than anything else.
Absolutely.
Or maybe you'll feel comfortable you'll leave here tonight. Maybe you'll feel comfortable telling maybe a harder story that you haven't told anybody. Tell somebody you trust. Because something we say on the show, Behind Beautiful Things, is stories are the great healing currency of humankind. The more we hear, the more we heal. Because it's about empathy. I call it working the big empathy muscle, right? So
yeah.
You know, you and I have talked for hours before we recorded. You've told me a lot of stories. You've told me some difficult stories that you went through. And that's how we humans support each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, as a comedian, you know, I'm a storyteller at heart.
Yeah.
And really what I was looking for when Secondhand Talent started was I was looking for a platform that was asking for the stories of my friends who are occupying all of these roles in this industry that I love so much. And I just couldn't find one.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have not done stand-up in a very long time. It, you know, just didn't feel right moving back into it. The world moved on, and I was, you know, a lot of things in life were going crazy, and I needed some sort of outlet, and it manifested as Secondhand Talent, which kind of going off of what you said, it is also kind of a little jab at myself as well.
Right.
Because
self-deprecation.
Well, yeah, but I've always, truthfully though, I've always considered myself a quote unquote, air quotes for those on YouTube, like, subscribe. I'm a secondhand comedian. My name is not the one that's going to be on the marquee, but if you need 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, right. Hey, I got you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's crucial to have those people to be able to fill those roles. And one of the wonderful things about talking about these difficult things is kind of combining, you know, the two themes of our shows, is really shining a light into those areas and letting people know, hey, you may not be the only person experiencing what you're feeling.
Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. And so on the show, every week we have a new guest, and that guest tells a story from their life, often a difficult story, often extremely difficult. And these are the guests make this show. Okay. These guests are amazing. They come on, they're vulnerable, they're brave, they're kind, they're generous with their time to share their stories. And one of the things I find the most admirable in people is somebody who has gone through something very difficult and then use that experience and turn it around and use it to help other people going through that. And that's what these guests do every week. And it sounds heavy, but it's not always heavy. Some of the stories, very heavy. But there's a lot of hope in the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, no, hope is exactly what it is, because, you know, the thing that, and, you know, maybe it's personal, but in my own experience, what causes a lot of anxiety is feeling that I'm the only one who's dealing with this.
Bam.
And to be able to hear the voices of others, go check out my interview with my good friend Steezy Jane. Came on the podcast and talked about a really difficult situation, and I thought, you know, it was just so incredibly brave of her to come on and talk about it. And she reached out to me a little bit later and said, you know, after the episode aired that people were reaching out to her.
Absolutely.
And, it's that just that one voice could prompt so many others to speak up. And that makes the collective that allows us to create the rising tide that lift each other up.
Very well said. Very well said. And another thing we say on the show is difficult stories are universal, but they're not universally told. We all have these stories, whether they be mental health focused or a loss of a loved one or some tragedy in your life. We all have these stories, but sometimes we don't talk about them. And what I say every week on the show is basically the goal here, you're going to hear a story. Basically, the goal here is not to solve any problem that arises, to judge any problem that arises, or to diagnose any problem. It's simply to allow the story to be told so that someone somewhere listening can say, oh, I thought I was the only one who felt that way. Thus helping people feel less alone.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just a great thing to do. I mean, because there's no other reason, for Secondhand Talent or Behind Beautiful Things, there's no reason to do it other than we love what we do. I don't do any solo episodes on this podcast.
Neither do I.
Because this show isn't about me. It's about the Secondhand Talent.
Which you've done. You've kept saying, I've asked you questions about you and you're like, okay, yeah, but what about you? Right?
One day I'll maybe expound on a few things, but truly, I call the guests who are on the show the Secondhand Talent family, and you have to sign a waiver to get out. It doesn't matter if you're on the show once, if you're a repeat guest, if you're a friend, if we just met, doesn't matter. Being on this show, and sharing these stories, it creates a bond that I have not experienced as a artist in any other sort of form or fashion.
See if this kind of goes with your experience. I'm just curious. What I say to people often, especially right after I've recorded an episode or I do prep calls for every episode, I feel insanely lucky to be doing what I'm doing.
Oh my God, yes. Are you kidding? Like, yeah. I mean, some of the folks I've interviewed, I mean, I feel blessed, grateful, joy. I mean, I have had grateful. I mean, I've interviewed folks who I've looked up to since I was a child. I mean, Justin Hampton, icons in the industry like Susanna Millman, who took photos of, the Grateful Dead from the late 70s to the end. Jerry walked her down the aisle, to get to talk to Christopher Thorne from Blind Melon, No Rain, everybody in my life. To talk to Ron Bruner Sr., who drummed with the Temptations. Like, wow. I mean, the soundtrack to my childhood, all I feel is gratitude when I get to talk to these people, because it's all me. It's a request. Say, would you like to come on and share your story, share your experience? And there's no give or get. There's no, there's no quid pro quo.
Right.
If somebody says no, they say no. But when people say yes, I feel that same level of gratitude and joy every time. Absolutely.
And, I love that I've been able to come on here and talk about, the times that I was backstage, on stage, doing art, making things for other people to consume, because without stories and art, humans are, we're in some trouble. And a lot of the best people I've ever worked with in theater are behind the scenes. And most of them would probably, I don't want to paint with too broad of a brush, but a lot of people that I know would not want, they're like, I don't need to be seen. I don't want my name to what you said a minute ago. I don't want my name on the marquee. I want to do this work, and I take pride in this work. But when I found out about your podcast and about what you feature, it is something that is shining a light in such a respectful way, a knowledgeable way on those people who take such pride. And no, they don't want to be the star of the show, but these people take a lot of pride in their work and they do good fucking work.
Yeah.
And I'm really honored to be on a show that features, excuse me, people who do this hard work every day in order to enrich all of our lives.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. That was unexpected, actually, and quite lovely. I really appreciate those words.
No problem.
And it's been just an absolute joy of a conversation, folks. Kevin Crispin, host of Behind Beautiful Things podcast. All the links are going to be in the description of this episode. Go check it out. If you don't know us on YouTube, like, subscribe. Audio is available everywhere where podcasts. Thanks again to Tenacious Toys and to Luke Chewin. Thank you again, Kevin Crispin, for being on the show. Any final words you want to leave us with?
I'll say this. Something that I believe is we often, when we're anxious people. A lot of us have varying forms of it. When I'm the most anxious, I want things to be either one way or the other. And most things in life are areas of gray. But I have absolutes in my mind. But the only absolute that I know, at least that I can really sign my name on, is that kindness is the only thing that makes sense 100% of the time. Humor's a close second, but kindness. And so I'll leave you with that.
Beautiful. Just like the closing two words of Fare Thee Well, like the tapestry behind us. Be kind. Folks, this is Steiner with another episode of Secondhand Talent, and we will see you next Wednesday. That's a podcast. There we go. We did it.
Thanks, brother.